Oh, fun fact. This ring at the top of my ring, the bottom one is Iya's. The top one is Daddy's wedding ring to my mom. And we had it shrunk to fit my finger.
From your mom's hand?
No, it was his wedding band. Guess what my mom did with the wedding band when they got divorced?
Pawned it?
Threw it
in the lake?
Threw it in a New Jersey toll. So someone got the ring.
No.
You can keep that in here, by the way.
That is really funny.
Yep.
I've never heard that one before.
Well, now you know. Your life will be changed.
All right, guys.
Welcome back to the Sisterish Show.
We're both in pink and we're just feeling spicy.
Spicy.
Are you having wine yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I will.
Okay.
Joey, will you open my wine, please? What time is it? RGR.
5 o'clock somewhere.
Oh.
Where is it?
Am I in a wine mood tonight?
Let's get more wine at the store, please. Oh, have wine with me.
All right, I'm going to have wine tonight.
So this week on the Sisterish Show, before we get into the topic, which is a juicy one, maybe not to you guys, but to us. And Joey's cracking open the wine in the background.
All you hear is the wine opening.
The wine opener. And my sister's drinking wine with me tonight, so I'm very excited. But what...
I can't take it seriously.
Do you have sister shit? I have sister shit for you.
Okay, for both of us.
Her freaking Hydro Traveler cup has mold.
That is the update for you guys.
Remember the cup saga? Remember it was her sister's shit?
Cup saga.
Tell them about it.
You know, if you follow Jackie, about this cup saga. And so I had gotten the Hydro jug, which is the one that you can twist, swirl, spin around.
It's such a good looking cup.
It doesn't spill, okay? The straw tucks in, the whole 9 yards. Next thing you know...
You know what I thought of when you said that? And I'm going to say it because I'm raunchy.
What?
Innie and Audi vajayjays that I just learned about. That's going to be my sister's shit. But I'll go on.
So now, like, the inside crevices that cannot be reached have mold developing. And I just can't do that as a healthy person. I just can't sip out of mold. And so I'm pissed, honestly. Like, I'm mad.
It's
like,
not a cheap cup.
Mad.
It looks good. I mean, freaking Kylie Jenner has the damn cup.
Like, I want to email them, but I want to be like, don't send me a new cup. Tell me what, like, fix this.
So I emailed them and they sent me a brand new beautiful bubble gum. It's like I had a hot pink one. I was so depressed when it had the mold. And then I talked about it on my stories. And of course, you guys are amazing. And like my followers were like, you need to get the brewmate, which I gave Athena my brewmate and then ordered another brewmate because guess what? They sent me a new one. And I was like, maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe I'm actually going to clean it correctly because I watched all the cleaning videos and you even used a spoolie on yours.
Yeah.
Still has mold. Get your shit together, brothers and sisters. I'm annoyed too. Okay. For my sister's shit, it is not rated G. It's rated R. So I'm just putting that out there. But there's this show on HBO Max and it's called Naked Attraction. And you do not watch this show with your children anywhere in the vicinity because at any moment they could walk out and see a big schlong or a vajayjay out there. Now, I realize this sounds very inappropriate, but it's like people watching on steroids. So it's in Europe and basically it's completely inappropriate.
It's a dating show based on just purely a naked body.
Like get a glass of wine and watch this show.
It's so funny.
And they put like 6, maybe it's 5, I don't know, naked people in a tube basically, and they slowly lift it up and the person on the show has to choose their mate because I think they're from England or something.
Yeah, I think it's British.
Based off of their bodies alone. Now, why do I personally like the show? You're probably asking yourself. Is I'm a big people watcher. Like my dream in life is just to find a bench in Miami with my sister and have like 5 bottles of wine and just watch everyone. And it's not even like I want to shit talk. I just love picturing their home life, looking at what they're wearing, are they walking proud? Are they walking schlumped? Like I love people watching. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically why I personally like to watch a show is at first when Athena was talking to me about it and telling me about it, I was thinking it was going to be like porn or something like that. It's nothing like that. It's literally
a science experiment.
It feels like I'm in actual health class. Because I didn't realize how diverse like innie and outie vagina
genitalia could
be.
Like,
anyway, so
even the balls,
one's like up and down, even the boobies.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Remember the boobs I sent you a picture of?
All I have to say is, in my opinion, watching that show is a confidence boost, actually, because I'm like,
I get out of the shower,
I can't even find a part of my body that I don't like anymore. like everything's perfect.
No, seriously, we watched
intact.
a couple episodes together, and I've had kids, and everything's intact. I mean, I have a C-section scar and tattoos and that kind of stuff, but we both looked at each other and we're like, we would definitely get picked.
100%. Like, are we joking?
Yeah. So if you want to like laugh and whatever, like, it's called Naked Attraction. Make sure your kids are sleeping. All right. So we are talking about religious trauma.
Yeah. So
I'm going to let you take the reins.
I'm going to say that I think when I meet someone that just gets it, like it adds some spice to you, honestly, because I think that there's so many different types of ways, obviously, that, you know, you were raised, that you could be raised. And I've always just like felt, even now as an adult, and like now, you know, not having to go, like, I'm graduated from high school, so I went to a fully private Christian high school or school my whole life, and church, so I was pretty much in that building 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And it shaped me, for sure, in good and bad ways. And I think, I mean, I'll get...
Really, Athena? You're going to admit that it shaped you in good ways?
Me.
That's my dad, ...
So I think I'm drunk already. But I think for me, we'll just get right to it. For me, the hardest identity crisis, because I think what the issue is that people look at people like me that grew up in a setting like that, and they automatically think it's all good, it's all positive and whatnot. But I think for me, the biggest mind effery is just finding a distinction between what do you believe because you believe it? What do you feel convicted about? What is a relationship with God look like? What versus what is religion? What is rules? What is structure? What does that look like in your life? And it's really been a journey as an adult to find what that medium is. And I wouldn't say I found it yet. And I'm okay with that. I think that when it comes to your religion or your relationship with God, it's such a personal thing, and it's so different for everyone. Like, our parents didn't even venture into like being Christians until they were adults, full-grown adults, like in their 30s, versus you were in your early 20s, correct?
Yeah, I was 22.
Versus me, who grew up in it. So yeah. I think there's pros and cons to each way, I think, but I feel like sometimes gaslit by a lot of mature Christians that are like, oh, well, you grew up the best way. And it's like, trust me, there's a lot of things that I've had to work through and kind of figure out where I stand. And there's still a lot of resentment that I hold for things. And it's really freaking hard because obviously we all have consciences and we all know there's right and wrong. And like,
and I know you believe in God.
Right. And I believe in God, and I believe in the Bible, and I believe that there's more than just the physical world, but navigating what that actually looks like is hard AF.
Well, I think you said it best. You're like, I'm figuring out what my personal relationship with God looks like. And it's dangerous territory which we've talked about many times on this couch, when you're not practicing what you preach. And I think that's where resentment, and there's no one I'm talking about specifically in our family, but as a parent, you know, I take it very like serious.
Yeah.
And one of the number one things for me, where I was not raised in the church, I was raised Greek Orthodox and Catholic, and we went to church on Christmas, and I like made my first Holy Communion, and then they wanted me to do the other one.
Did you ever get baptized in the Greek church? No, right?
I don't think so. I think my mom like stole me and did it in the Catholic church, and it was like a big saga and like a controversy. I don't know. I blocked that out of my life.
Valid.
But what's the other one? Confirmation.
Yeah.
So this is actually gonna piss off the Catholics out there, but by the time this is so your sister, you're gonna laugh. So I was whatever raised in the Catholic Church means, you know, like I even went to a Catholic school for a little bit of my time. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, when I moved to Pennsylvania, my mom stuck me in a Catholic school because the schools in the area were really bad.
All girls?
No, there was boys. And it was a brief season. But okay, when I got old enough to like have an opinion in it, because obviously I didn't come from a religious household that was actually preaching it and doing every Sunday, whatever, or like practicing it, maybe I should say. I literally looked at my mom and was like, I'm not making my confirmation. Those priests are molesting boys. Like there was a lot of altar boy stuff coming out in the news. And I was like, I'm not doing it. And I literally.
Like you had an intuition about it.
Yeah, I was like, that's bullshit. And I don't agree with it. And I'm not doing it. It's all like, I could see through the works-basedness of it.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you that I've always, and our Bible talks about it my whole life. I remember being younger than Yanni and thinking about heaven and hell.
Yeah.
And I wasn't raised in a house that even talked about it. So I guess like you and me have completely different stories, and we have completely different traumas surrounding church and all of it. So basically my dad would get me, you know, on the weekends. And then obviously as I got older and moved back to New Jersey and I was closer to him, I could like make my own decisions. And he's not begging for me to come over. I wish you did, Dad, but he didn't. So like I would go to like have a relationship with you and see like, yeah, especially she's who I wanted to see, but I would have to go to church with them.
Trinity.
And
Okay.
it was a non-negotiable. And the thing I couldn't stand, and if you're listening, any Trinity people or any church in that matter, was I literally had to change my entire wardrobe. Like as a 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old girl, they're so impressionable. And I'm not saying go to church in a thong. I'm not saying go to church in Abercrombie low-rise jeans. But like I would have what I liked at that age as a wicked sinner in my closet. And I would literally be squeezing into your mom's like 5'3" clothes that was for a 35-year-old because I shouldn't wear that to church.
Right.
And that had a lot of psychological effects on me at that age.
Yeah, I think for me, my biggest
I'm not like, by the way, I'm not saying, I never would compete with you. Like you have a lot more legs to stand on. But it was like, I also had a Trinity girl tell me I was going to go to hell for wearing a 2-piece.
Well, this is something that I always.
Are we even allowed to say Trinity on this?
Yeah.
It's our podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me, my biggest thing that I've had to struggle with and work through was one, you know, everything being so surface level and workspace, and they won't say that. Like no one is going to outwardly come out and say that. But when you grow up in a setting of constant like scrutiny of everything from what you wear to how you talk to what you say to the beliefs that you hold about family or career or
how your household is set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
When there is such a strong boundary and lane that you have to stay in, that's what really mentally is tolling. Because when you're a kid, like you said, you are so impressionable and you are watching your parents, you are watching the people you're around. I was in Christian school and church 6 days out of the week. Honestly, I was in that building more than I was home. And that's a really big deal. And I think that...
And I don't want to negate that ever.
No, and you've never negated it. Like, I've always said this too, and I don't know, maybe other people that grew up similarly to what I did would get it. Like, I've always envied people that were able to come to God on their own as an adult. And I know that there's negatives to that.
I've never heard that.
I've never told you that?
No.
Like, I've said it to our dad a lot.
Wow.
Like, because he'll always say, you know, I spent all these years like wasted or whatever, not drunk wasted. Like, wasted, meaning like wasted not knowing God. And to me, I almost like, I envy people that were able to like live life and then realize like, oh shit, like I need
there's more
God.
to this,
I need more than just me, and coming to that and like almost going on your knees and like begging for something above you to like help
intervene,
you and
give
be
you
there
purpose
for you. Whereas for me, like I'm having to almost work backwards, and that's really hard. And for me, that's why I get very like triggered and defensive, because I'm like, there are so many things that I still to this day, have like struggles with over whether it's church and even like other Christians. Like the reality is that most of my close friends and most of the people that I trust and love and like am around are not Christians. And every friend I ever had that was a Christian, our relationship always ended negatively. And it was always because of a judgmental thing. And it was always because the way I was acting wasn't appropriate enough for them. And so that's to me where a lot of my trauma comes in, is like, I've had so many people that acted holier than thou and better because they don't listen to this, or they don't wear this, or they don't talk like this. And then making me feel like I'm less of a person.
It's just so much legalism and hypocrisy, because truth be told, I mean, you don't need to be like, if you had to be under a rock to not know that like the most devout Christians outwardly are like the ones that are like molesting children and cheating on their wives. And so, like you said, getting down to the deeper issues. Now, I want to, first of all, since we've thrown out shade at Trinity, whatever, there's no perfect church this side of eternity. And I don't think for one second you're looking for a perfect church. I also would like to clarify that I don't think for one second that you don't like rules. And it's not that you don't.
Right.
When you and I compare our upbringings, I know you're fucking blessed. Like, I know not perfectly, obviously, we're not saying that. But like, I also know, like, one, I never heard you say you wish you kind of like went on your own journey with it. But like, I know you can see the benefits of it, but like, you do have a lot of the other side of it. Now, structure is always really great if that works for your family. And like, obviously you're brilliant. The school, like, whatever with that, like, we don't need to whatever, but like, also I was in churches in like Conway, South Carolina, where I'm at a Bible study and the pastor's wife literally like turned red, and I thought she was gonna flip the fucking table at me because my mom works on Sunday because she's a single mom at Costco. And she like literally had like an actual reaction to me being like, because again, I'm the one that's like, I'm not making my confirmation. So I was calling her out because she was making my mom, and it could have been Betty off the street, honestly, like, because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And she literally was like, you need to trust God that he's going to provide and honor the Sabbath. What people don't know about me with my sleeve and my 4 sons to this day that says fuck on this podcast is there was a period of my life where I literally wouldn't even fucking cook on Sunday. Do you remember her?
I don't remember that.
I held the Sabbath so closely that I didn't allow my children. We were like Amish. We didn't put the TV on. Well, Amish don't even have the internet, but it was like no iPads. I would cook our meal the day before as to not work.
And like the slow cooker?
Yes. It was like that, guys. Okay. And now some of you are like, she's fallen away. Look at her. Look at her now. Right. No, I have a living relationship with a living God. And on my journey, he will bring me back to him if I fall off course. And like, I always joke with my kids, like, God's way of spanking us as adults is trials and tribulations to see the kingdom of God. But like, I told this pastor's wife that's probably not listening to this podcast, but if you were, I'm not calling you out, but shame on you. Shame on these pastors' wives that are making women. They could be a widow. They could not be a widow. She had to provide. Yeah. It wasn't about it being my freaking mother. Who is this bitch who is literally her husband with their 20 kids, who bakes her bread and keeps her Sabbath holy? How are you going to throw shade at a woman who's a single mom who has to provide and work on Sunday? Like, that's where I struggle. And that's where I started seeing a disconnect from the pulpit to then how they've treated others. And I will say this, the church that we just left, again, not naming names, was the first pastor's wife in a decade of being saved that she never, ever, ever, ever made me feel judged. Bethany, if you're listening, I don't think you listen to my podcast because I say fuck on it, and I'm sorry, but I'm actually not sorry for that. She was the first one.
Yeah, you said that from day one.
She might not have agreed with everything I was doing, and she was love.
Yeah.
And I'm not like love and cover everything in love. Like, I'm a strict mother, and I have strict convictions, but like, she she was like,
right.
what am I trying to say?
She was, this is the thing that you want to say.
I'm getting heated now.
This is the thing you want to say is, I think that what we struggle with and what I've learned is that if Jesus was here today, like as a person, I think he would be disgusted by the way that so-called Christians act towards people. And I think that's what it is you spent 10 years looking for someone that would give you what Jesus would have been. Like, that's what it is. And that's what
it wasn't me trying to get this pastor's wife or any of the pastor's wife to like justify my sin. Cause you know, or like, you know, that's not what I'm saying here. It's that she literally just loved me and prayed with me and encouraged me and met me where I was at. And then in God's timing, because she was so loving towards me, I wanted to ask her questions. Yeah. I wanted to go to her and be like, why do you do that? Yeah. Or how do you think
like there's something to that?
If you're, when these people just like take a circle and put it in a square and they're slamming you in, it's like, we're on our own journeys with this.
I've also learned is that, you know, if I was like, Dad, I'm not calling you out. If I was like Dad, or if I was this, you know, person that had been, you know, I've been a Christian for 20 years, I would be furious with how some of these people in churches act. And as someone that's about to be 21 years old, and as someone that grew up from literally when I could talk,
she grew up.
I was in the church. Okay, guys. Yeah. Like there was not a moment of my life that I remember not going to church every single Sunday, 3 times a day. Okay, from morning till night, and it's the behavior of some of these people of the complete opposite of what I believe Jesus would have been like. And I think that what it is so many people are so out of touch. Do we realize, like in the Bible, like Jesus literally put his hand out to all these people
that no one else would talk to
them where they were at. Like, that's what it is. Like, instead of wanting every single person that walks into your church to be this cookie cutter perfect person, like, that's not real life. And people go through trials and people go through things in life, and it has, you know, it shapes you. And to be so cold to anyone that doesn't fit your exact mold or standard of what you think is the perfect Christian is so wrong, and it turns so many people away. And
we've had pastors call us out from the pulpit for missing a prayer meeting.
It's such a revelation to the type of person you are. And I really believe, like, I know there's a verse in the Bible that says, like, narrow is the way to heaven. Like, I genuinely believe a lot of the people in these churches are not real Christians, because it's so, they really, when you look at it, like, they turn so many people away from God. And it's such a disservice, because it's such a beautiful thing. Like, when I see someone that genuinely has such a healthy relationship with God, like, I'm jealous. I'm like, wow, I wish that I could have no bad strings or negativity surrounding this, but instead I do, and that's fine, and I have to work through it. But like, it's a lot. It's a lot to mentally work through, and it's a lot that you have to really struggle with and find where you stand on certain things, and then to find a community on top of that that's supportive. Forget it. It's like, this is like a 15-year thing in the making.
No,
you know?
Well, this is the thing, Athena, and if COVID-19 taught me anything besides fuck the government and rules, is you're the church. And this is like an unpopular opinion, definitely, I would say, in our family, because yes, I do know what the Bible says. Surprisingly, Dad, no, I'm joking. I love my dad. About, you know, how important it is to keep us sharpened and in line. But you know what I mean by that. I didn't mean it like negatively. Community, worship and community. But the thing that I want to say as your big sis is that God is here right now. Mm-hmm. And it's not on Daddy and your mom, your relationship with him. Mm-hmm. And so no matter what has happened in the past, no matter, you know, obviously, you know, I never, ever downplay what you have ever, because it's real. And I watched you. I saw it. I was there. Okay. But especially as you start to get older, when you get married, when you have your children, when you look in your son or daughter's eyes and I already know you believe in God. And I know Joey was raised in church and he has a different experience, obviously, but like, it's not on your parents for you to have that. And let's not make it so big as to like, I got to find a church. Like, you're the church. You could be the church with your Bible at first, I'm saying, crying out to him. I have XYZ. I'm not going to speak for you going on in my own self. And if you actually, you know more about the Bible and can like literally rehearse it back to me verbatim than me. But it's between you and God.
Right.
Not that it makes it easier, but he's obviously, you're his if you're his, and there's nothing,
right.
You know, you're going to mature and grow as a human, and I'm going to watch you, and whatever it looks like for you is what it's going to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and I agree.
If you guys go to church on a freaking Wednesday, like I just want you to have a real relationship with God.
I agree. And I think what's such a big turnoff for me as I like left that was having other people that are Christians or go to a certain church or believe in certain things basically make you feel like you're not as high as them or you're not going to get the same spot in heaven as them because you aren't at that place yet. And it's so wild to me because they preach all day about sanctification and everyone's journey with the Lord looks different. But then when it's reality, when it's actually happening to someone else, it's like, well, they went to church 1 of 4 times this month. So how close are they really? That's what it is that I'm like, I get it. Like, I get wanting to push, you know, even us in our health circles, like we're pushing each other. I'm like, Jack, like, are you going to go, you know, did you hit your steps today? You know, we were in healthy competition about who can get the most steps. Like, I get it. Like, pushing each other to be the best you can be and being like, okay, is that, you know, box of potato chips gonna help bring you closer to your grease body? Like, whatever, dumb example, but
no, it's
good. You get it. Like, I get that, and I think that's a great and beautiful thing, like pushing people you love to be better. But what I don't like is criticism from people that aren't even that close to you. And it's fully an outward thing, it's fully a physical thing, it's fully how things look. Oh, she does that. She has that sleeve. Yeah. She lets her sons do that. Yeah. She really a Christian? Well, can she really go to heaven? Yeah. That type of language, that
narrative, unfortunately, is in so many Christian homes. Right. And then it's the example that we're setting for our children.
And then you raise kids like that.
And then but you're not like that.
No.
But I knowing how they were towards me. Yeah. I'm so careful. Yeah. So careful.
I could never see your boys be like that.
I do not, believe it or not, bitches. I don't talk shit. I'm talking about my cancel campaign last year where they fucking hung me with a noose because of like text messages, and keep that in there, by the way. No, I am so careful around my boys with, if I see someone in the church especially and see them in a bikini thong at the beach, I will not say a damn word about their picture on Facebook. Because one of two things. One, what kind of example am I setting for my sons when they hear me be like, did you see Molly's miniskirt? I'm gossiping. How am I any better? And then two, God humbles us. And every Christian in my life so far for over a year, I'm 36. So I guess it's 14 years.
When did you become a Christian?
22.
Okay.
Become a Christian. God saved me when my husband was addicted to drugs and my son was dying of vaccine injury. He came and lifted me up, and that the rest is history. But, you know, it's been a process and a journey, and I've been through so many trials, and it's not perfect. But every Christian in my life, whether they're now, you know, fallen away from the faith, which whatever the frick you want to, you know, it's like, that's another thing is like people be like, oh, they left the church. And I'm like, does that mean that they're not saved?
Right.
Maybe they don't agree with that pastor, or we don't know what happened there. But anyway, let's go back to what I was saying. Is every person in my life that has ever been like the big gossip or judging constantly, or all you hear about them is like what other people are doing, God's like, here you go. and he humbles them. And then on their own walk, they become more humble, more patient. Like, I don't know what made the pastor's wife at my last church. Maybe she was talking shit about me. I don't think she was, though, to her friends or to my pastor at the time. But she was love. Always. I'm not saying she like agreed with everything I did, but so like that's where I just feel like it's playing with fire. And, you know, we could honestly go on and on and on. And I think that we need to make many more episodes about this. But we've had two completely different experiences in church and traumas in church. And to the church, I'd like to address the very last thing we should be to a dying generation. That, you know, the time is now, and the reason why when God saves you, he doesn't just pluck us up and bring us up to heaven is to make disciples. How the hell are you making disciples when all you're doing is throwing shade constantly? It's not that you don't have standards and believe that the commandments are real. It's not that you don't think that, you know, whatever it may be, modesty, the Sabbath, homosexuality, you know, adultery. But the way that they're delivering the message is turning people so far away from Christ, they're running in the other direction. And it's happening most, I'll even dare to say, in the church. Even more so in the world. And that's shame on those Christians.
Yeah.
And that's why we're sitting here on the podcast talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's not because we don't believe in God, think the commandments, and know that they're real. Look, no one keeps the commandments perfectly. What's the number one thing, if Yanni walked in right now in the middle of the podcast, which I don't want that to happen, is whenever I am correcting my son, I always am reminding him, and I will, hopefully you'll do the same thing with your kids, is I don't want you perfect. No one is freaking perfect. You need Christ because you can't keep the commandments. Let's lead with that.
Yeah.
Pastor Jackie has spoken. I'm not allowed
like
to be a
mic
pastor.
drop there.
No, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have nothing else to add, but I know you can definitely bring more to the conversation.
For me, one of the biggest things that I realized as I was growing up, going through high school, and, you know, I was having these conversations with like my parents or other people, was like, why is there such a big age gap in the church? Why is it 0 to 18 and then it magically jumps from, there's no one ages 19 to like 35, it just jumps to like 40, and it's like, where are all of these people going? Like, people my age, like, and it's
is that what they would tell you? What would be your response?
Yeah, they would say that, I mean, look, the way that I was preached to every week was like, basically, I'm screwed unless I follow the exact way that I'm being told, and if not, I'm gonna just live a life of torture and misery. And it's like, there's a gap. Something is missing, and there's a big disconnect from all of these, you know, older saints in the church that have lived long lives. And then it's like, you're raising these kids up, right, up to 18, and then they're leaving or whatever they're doing. Why are they not coming back? And what my old church would say is that we're all just stubborn, rebellious young people that want nothing to do with God, and we want to live how we want to live. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of people. But there's a lot of really also good people. And there's a lot of people like me that, like, we are convicted, and like, we do believe in God, and like, we do believe in the Bible, and we do believe that it's not just us, like there's something above us, and that there is some sort of moral standard to living. Like, there's a lot of people like that. And to just make this blanket statement and be like, well, they're just rebellious, and like, they're just gonna go on their own, and it's like, that's not even, like, you're so out of touch and in such a different universe, honestly, to think that. When, why don't you ever turn around and look in the mirror and think, what is it about the way that we're going about our church, our services? Like, my old church, their youth group program was like dead for like 7 years. Like, it just, like, no one was going, like, no one was doing it, no one was going. Why? Shouldn't we be giving like so much effort into young people? Like, this is literally the future of like the church. Forget even the world. Forget even who's running the country or running the you know, businesses and running careers. Like, the church. Like if you are this renowned Christian that's like 80 years old and like you want to pour into the church and make it this big, you know, community of people that love God, shouldn't you be pouring into young people? Like especially, you know, Yanni's age, when they become teenagers, like my memories of church from the time I was in a teenager was like literally me looking at my watch, like, when is this going to be done? Like, I want to go home, like, get me out. Like, it was torturous. Honestly, it was torturous. I wanted to just get out. And I think that there's more to that than just the kid doesn't want to be here. And wish
he's rebelling or she's rebelling.
I wish there was another side of the conversation that people talked about. Like, why is that happening? And kids are impressionable, and we want things to make sense, right? Like, especially a lot of, you know, myself, like I'm a very logical, like I want explanations to things, and you want things to make sense to you. And I think a lot of times you're just kind of like, oh, just do this because you're supposed to. And you know, as someone that wanted more than that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting more than that, it was really hard for me to just do something because it's what I'm supposed to do. Well, why? Like, what are the benefits? And I think that's one of the things about how you've always said to me, like, you're raising your kids to be raw and honest with them about things. And we spoke about this in a previous episode, how I was like, or you said, you know, if there's something that you're telling your child not to do, you're going to be honest with them and be like, look, I did this, and like, don't do this because you're going to deal with these consequences. And I didn't get that. I didn't get this, you know, it was just do this because you're supposed to. How are you raising convicted? And
we just said on the last episode that when people tell us what to do, we're like,
It's like, how are you going to raise fiery, convicted, you know, Paul? Like, they go on and on about Paul, but then you don't even put in the work to raise Christians like that, because your answer is just do it. How am I going to go and witness to people or bring people to God when I don't even know why I'm doing things?
Well, you're in Trinity, so you should know everything.
Right. But I think that just having, like, I don't know, I think raising kids is a whole other can of worms, because it's hard. You want to have that balance with them between obviously raising them with like a moral code and knowing things are right and wrong. Like, we're not just in limbo. Like, things aren't just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But also you don't want to raise them like legalistic little pricks.
Yeah, I see a lot of them.
I've dealt with a lot of them. Fun fact, 2 of my childhood best friends. Have I told you about them?
I don't know.
My 2 friends.
My phone just keeps ringing.
Okay, fun story before we end the podcast. So I actually had 2 friends. One was like my friend all through elementary school. The other one was my friend all through middle school. Both of these people friendship broke up with me one was through email. Maybe I could find the email if I look back far enough.
I don't know this.
Yeah, so one was through email, she actually basically ghosted me, and I refused to be ghosted. So I actually called her and texted her and said, like, WTF, why are you ignoring me? Like, what's going on? We were best friends, attached at the hip. Both of them broke up with me because I was like
bad.
Right. Specifically, like, the music I listen to, just the way that I am, the way that I talk, the way that I dress.
Where are they now?
They're both Christians. I don't even know if they would even remember that, but I remember it, and it stuck with me. Like, literally my 2 best friends, like me and both of these girls, like, when I'm your friend, I'm like your ride or die. Like, you know how it is.
So my thought process as your big sis is like, what were they? You know, they're saved now. They were immature kids. We can make so many excuses for them. Clearly, I get it. But like, how is that showing you the love of Christ?
Right. But then I think that's how they were raised. Like, that's how they were raised, because they were kids. They were kids.
No, yeah. I mean, this is definitely a parent issue.
Like,
your kids don't come out of the womb being legalistic Christians and judging everyone. You know, Athena told me when I got off. I'm going to tell this on her wedding speech. This will be said. But I get off the plane from Rhodes, Greece. She's like 4 years old, literally, like younger than Luke.
I'm going to be in my wedding dress with like tits out, tight AF.
Tattoos.
Maybe like a little like see-through at the stomach area.
Black underwear.
Keep going. No garter toss though. But.
No, little Athena looks up at me and she sees my tattoo and she says, "You're going to go to hell, you know, because you have that tattoo."
And it brainwashed. Like, do you know who you're talking to now? Isn't that insane?
I don't
Isn't
hold that against you.
No, I know. But I'm saying, like, poor me. Like, I was literally...
No, but I mean, at the time, I was like 20 and I was like, it's not her
Can you
fault.
imagine Luke looking at me and being like, your butterfly tattoo, like you're going to hell?
But he would call you fat if you were fat because kids say the darndest little things. But definitely that was...
Oh, he hasn't called me fat, so I guess I'm doing good.
No, you are. But he told EI yesterday that your hair looks weird because it was so curly and humid.
He said that?
Yeah, like kids...
Oh, that is so funny. No, I love kids' honesty.
I will say, in your defense, you regurgitated what you were around. And we're not blaming your mom or our dad. I'm going to say it's the situation. It's the church. It's the school. Right. It's the preschool. It's wherever you got it from. You heard it and you regurgitated it. Now, obviously, you were a child and we can't. But
and
like,
I now have 7 tattoos.
No,
so.
I mean, who's counting, right? But no, and unfortunately, it's the world we live in. We live in a fallen world, and I always tell my health clients this: there's no perfection this side of eternity. So, whether it's the church, not the church. I mean, I think one of the things you're an advocate for is that being raised in the church isn't always better than being raised out of the church. And that's a hard one for parents to swallow, that pill.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really hard for our parents specifically to swallow that. But there's so much good and you're amazing. Like, I brag about you all the time. And I think just holding space for your own walk with the Lord. And he's going to do what he's going to do on my baby sister and her babies and my brother-in-law one day. And, your relationship with God doesn't have to look like your childhood.
Right. Stay tuned in 10 years from now. Maybe I'll have an answer for you guys.
We're actually opening a church.
It's called the Sisterish Church. I don't think we'd be allowed to do that because
we would in Miami.
It would be like all pink and like...
No one would come. No. Well, actually, cool people would probably
saying
come.
Fuck from the pulpit. Like,
follow the fucking commandments.
Well... I think this episode was honestly more of a therapy session.
I was just going to say therapy.
And it's like a brain dump. And I opened this episode with, like, I am nowhere near even finding an answer to...
Well, I just want to let you know that neither am I. And I apparently have been saved for like 14 years.
For like half your life?
No. Yeah? No.
Well, a little less than half. Soon it'll be half.
Yeah, I was saved at like 22,
when you're 44,
23.
It'll be half.
And I'm falling away from the faith.
She's still 28 to me.
Yeah, I don't even care about age, but I still cringe when I see pictures of myself like 25. I'm like, oh, the aging backwards thing is just like amazing. Anyway, back to the church talk. None of us have this figured out.
Yeah.
Not even daddy.
No.
The
phrase fake it till you make it, and like the older I've gotten in life, which I'm not that old, but the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that actually no one knows what they're doing. And even like the most successful people are actually still winging it. And I've realized that. And it's actually like, I love that. But even in this, like even in your relationship with God or religion or whatever the heck you want to call it, like everyone, like no one has it figured out. And
how could we? I mean, there's a reason why, so many things are still not revealed to us. And I always joke about this. And I shared like the meme on the Sisters show of us like showing up in heaven twerking and people being shocked that we're there. I'm pausing because you're texting. Are they here?
They're in the lounge. I said we're almost done.
We need to finish. But so many people that you think will be in heaven won't be there. And so many people that you've been judging and throwing shade at and not taking the effing log out of your eye and looking at their speck, they're going to be there. Because you know, yes, fruit, of course, and all these different things, but it's between me and God.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll leave it.
That's a good place to wrap it up.
All right, guys, we love you so much. We have one more episode until our Greece trip. We can't wait to talk to you about this once of a lifetime trip that we're having. We're going to get emotional, I'm sure, when we record on that one. But please leave us a review. Let us know how you feel about this podcast episode, and we will see you next week.
We love you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.